My name is Nani Jansen. I'm the legal director of the Media Legal Defense Initiative, a London-based organization that works worldwide to help journalists and independent media defend their rights. MLDI has conducted a number of important cases at the African Regional Courts of Human Rights, including at the African Court on Human and People's Rights, which is the counterpart of the African Commission in dealing with human rights in the African Union context, the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, and the East African Court of Justice. Our case at the African Court on Human and People's Rights was the case of Konaté versus Burkina Faso. This concerned a journal editor who was imprisoned for a year after having published 3 articles that were critical of a local public prosecutor. He was also ordered to pay fines and damages that amounted to about 18 times the average annual salary in Burkina Faso. We took the case to the African Court on Human and People's Rights, which found that defamation could only be used under extreme circumstances and that imprisonment was never an acceptable penalty. There was also, very importantly, a dissenting opinion of a number of judges who said that criminal defamation was actually not necessary at all, given the fact that criminal defamation should be reserved for extreme cases. Those specific cases, such as hate speech and incitement to violence, should be legislated against specifically. The court ordered Burkina Faso to amend its legislation, which Burkina Faso did recently, and also to pay damages to our client, Mr. Konaté, and those proceedings are currently still ongoing. At the East African Court of Justice, we brought a case against Burundi, who, in the run-up to their general elections, had adopted a press law that was very repressive of free press in the country. It included really high penalties and fines for editors, prior censorship for filmed material, and also provided very little protection of journalistic sources. This was the first time that the East African Court of Justice heard a press freedom case. The East African Court of Justice does not have explicit human rights jurisdiction and therefore interprets its mandate in an expansive manner under Articles 5, 6 and 7 of the Treaty of the East African Community. In this decision, in our case, which is a Burundi Journalists Association against Burundi, the court found that it did have jurisdiction to hear press freedom cases and also found that a number of provisions of the Burundi press law were in violation of Burundi's obligations under the East African Treaty. Finally, we also filed a case at the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, that is the Court of Justice of the Economic Community of West African States, against the Gambia. This case was brought on behalf of the Federation of African Journalists and a number of individual Gambian journalists who are currently living in exile, arguing a number of individual human rights claims, and as well as the fact that the Gambia having laws on sedition, false news and criminal defamation on its books constitutes a violation of their obligation under international law. The case is ready to be heard on the merits on the 15th of June, and we hope to get a decision on that this summer in 2016. Our case against the Gambia follows another important decision from the ECOWAS court dealing with freedom of expression, which is the Haidara case, which was brought previously by the Open Society Justice Initiative, which challenges the disappearance and murder of a famous journalist in the Gambia, Mr. Haidara. So it will be very interesting to see if the court is willing to expand on its case law on press freedom. It has been very interesting litigating these freedom of expression cases at the African regional courts. What I think is that all courts that we've been to so far and where we've obtained results have showed themselves to be very progressive in protecting a freedom of expression under Article 8 of the African Charter, but also Article 19 of the ICCPR. I therefore think that it would be very much worthwhile to try and push for further case law from these bodies and see what kind of protection for the media and others that exercise their right to freedom of expression we can get.